Hey, Coach Duffy here with Neo BJJ, and today we're going to have some training tips, and it's going to be on one of the methods we use in our programming called tempo method lifting. What we're going to do is go through our entire program from the general prep to specific all the way to competition and answer a lot of the questions we get because we use some unique methods and different programming. And so we want to break that down and give you sort of the why we use it, what we use, how we use it, so you get sort of an inside idea of what is in the program and why. So for the first one here, you have tempo method lifting. Anytime a coach is going to put together a program, there should be a reason. So as a client or an athlete, as you're doing something, you should sort of ask your coach, like, well, okay, what's this for and why are we doing it? So we're going to answer those questions here in regards to tempo method lifting. So a method should elicit a certain response. So if I have you lift something extremely heavy, 90-95% of your 1 rep max, that is going to elicit the response to make you stronger. So all of the little things that come in play, from nerves and to the muscles themselves, all of that's the chain of reactions going to happen is going to create a response. So why the tempo method of lifting? The first thing is an often neglected area of muscle is slow twitch. People neglect building that, or hypertrophy. They don't grow that muscle. And I think it's because, one, it's not going to get huge. You're not going to get big gains off slow twitch muscle, but it's very necessary and, like I said, very neglected. What this muscle does is it increases the oxygen utilization by the muscles that you're using. So if you're squatting in this method, all of the muscles in that chain are going to utilize oxygen better. We're also going to increase how those slow twitch muscles improve the endurance of the fast twitch muscles. So they feed off each other. So you're like, oh, I'm more worried about being explosive and fast. That's fantastic, and that training is great. You're going to see it in the program, but you can't live off that. And one way to benefit that kind of training is to come back around, circle around, and work on things that are going to help that get better in the future. And this is one of those ways. Working on this method also helps reduce muscle fatigue, because if you look back, we are increasing how that muscle utilizes oxygen, which is a source of energy for the muscles. And again, we are going to increase the size or the cross-sectional area of those slow twitch fibers. So we are in fact going to get a little bit bigger. No huge gains. We're not getting swole on this, but it's an area that, like I said, is neglected and we can work on. The next question is, when do you do this? And I want to put this in there because a lot of times people can watch a video that looks fantastic. I'm going to start doing that now. Well, there's a time for everything. And the time for this type of a method is probably in the beginning phases of your training or your program. So say you're doing a 12-week camp, this would be your first 3 or 4 weeks. The main reason we use this in our general prep phase, which is our first phase, is because, one, it's a great time to build that foundational conditioning and strength. And the other is there's a few methods like strength and conditioning that have long-lasting effects. So the residual effect of that training lasts much longer than, say, speed and power training. And what they've found is if you were to train conditioning, methods like this and cardiac output and whatever, and we got you to a certain level of conditioning and then stopped, though you're not going to see a diminishing effect for at least 30 to 35 days. So that means we can train things like conditioning in this method all the way up maybe 30 days out of your peak phase. Then we can stop and maybe just add it every once in a while and focus on power and speed without losing anything. So that's why we put this in the beginning. So now that you know the why and the when, we're going to talk about what it is. Now, if you were to Google tempo method squat, you're going to probably get 50 different results, because all tempo method refers to is the tempo that you're having when you're doing the squat. So it could be any number of things. There's 4 variables you're playing with here, and beyond that you could add a million other things. So we're going to break down what we mean when we say tempo squat, in this method in particular. So some of the keys here, if you imagine this gentleman here has a barbell and we're in a squat rack, what we want to do is the entire time we're working out with this method is we want to ensure that we're breathing. So don't hold your breath. Almost make a mental note to keep breathing in and out. Really good focus, because we're teaching the muscles how to utilize oxygen. So we need to make sure there is some oxygen. The other thing is we want to make sure the reps are for a good duration. So you can see here our tempo is 0202. What we're talking about here is we're having a 0-second pause at the top, so it's standing. We are having a 2-second eccentric, so going down phase. We're having a 0-second at the bottom, so we're not hanging out down there. And then a 2-second concentric when we're coming back up in the squat. So you add that together, that's 4 seconds. And you can add as you progress, but that's where we usually start. This method, we're going to do about 8 to 10 reps, so we're doing a high volume. We're going to do about 3 to 5 total sets, but we're only going to work at around 40 to 45% of your 1 rep max, because we do want to focus on oxygen. We don't want to start getting into like your quicker burning fuels and working on different systems. We really want to work on the aerobic side of things. After each set, you will go into a 6 to 8 minute active rest period, which we'll talk about in a second, and that would be a total set. So let's just say, for example, you're going to do 8 reps of the tempo method squat, 6 to 8 minutes of active rest, and go. So real quick before we move on, we'll show you the squat here. So if you can see here, he's going down and counting 1001, 1002. He's a deep squat, what we're looking for here, because we're going to get full muscle utilization. He has no pause at the top, no pause at the bottom, and he's steady 2 seconds up, and he's steady 2 seconds down. So here, same with everything, focus on keeping the knees out. You want to make sure your muscles are engaged the whole time, so we're not releasing that contraction or that intensity. And that's why there's 0 pauses. We're just keeping that burn and that tension. And really you'll probably start off and be like, oh, 40%, this is light. And it should feel that way. By about rep 5 or 6, you should start to feel a burn. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for any kind of diabolical, crazy workout here, but we do want it to burn. So continue to load until the last few reps are a good burn. So there was a tempo. So to give you an idea of how this lays out, if I said, hey, we're going to do 3 sets. I want you to do tempo method and this tempo for 3 sets of 8 at 40%. What you'll do is you will load the barbell with 40% of your 1 rep max, which if you're in our program, it'll be already laid out for you. You'll unrack it. You'll do 8 repetitions as that gentleman just did. 0 pause at the top, 2 seconds down, 0 pause at the bottom, 2 seconds up, and you're going to breathe continuously. After you've done those 8 repetitions, you'll rack the bar, and then you'll go into what we call an active rest for 6 minutes. This is a time where you can start to focus on things that are a little more interesting and unique. So you could start going into core exercises. You could work on your grip strength. You could work on any kind of smaller muscle groups like lateral delt raise, curls, anything that's going to be a little bit easier and not a major compound movement. But that's what we'll be doing here. You could even go into straight, stair steppers, whatever you got. But we want to keep the heart rate lower, in that aerobic zone, or an active rest. So like I said, grip strength, footwork, so you could work on ankle and toe strength, a lot of the sort of the more interesting things. And you would do that for 6 minutes. That is a set. Once you're done with that 6-minute active rest, you're going right back to the barbell, and you're going to start set number 2. And you would repeat that all the way through for the 3 sets, and that would be that exercise is complete, or that complex. So I hope that helps. Obviously, like I said, this is a different kind of lifting. We're focusing much more on the conditioning of the muscle than strength or power or hypertrophy. and it's going to look different and feel different. So I wanted to talk about this one, lay it out there and give you an idea. And then if you have any questions, let us know. And we're going to continue to bring on more videos and break down what we do and why we do it to give you an inside look at our programming and what to expect. All right, talk to you soon.